there. Well, it certainly did not take me long to break into my new product that I just got. I am already starting to work with the Allison Craft recorded papers for these two photos taken from our beach vacation early in the year. I like this soft peachy color that's here on the horizon. This was late evening on the East Coast. And the photos are really mostly about my husband. He just woke up, we got down there, he took a nap, and he popped up from his nap to go to the beach and threw his shirt on, and he's got it inside out and backwards, which is going to be my title. And I'm going to do inside out and then backwards across the top here. Let me show you the sketch. I don't have it printed out, so I'm going to show it to you on the screen. So you can see the plan is to have these two 4x6 photos with the title going across here, and then using a lot of papers from the 6x6 pad down this way, and the shape I'm going to choose are arrows because I liked this. I was inspired by this paper that has arrows running all directions, and that's kind of how the shirt ended up. You straightened the shirt out before you got to the beach, but well, I thought it was just a funny moment, and when he got down to the beach there wasn't a lot of room to walk, so it was kind of like, you know, he got up from his nap and didn't really get to enjoy it like he did later in the week. Other things from the collection, I got these paper clips, the little arrow paper clips that I think will work, and it may work in one of the hearts. I've got my titling here, and I'm going to need some additional titling. I'm either going to use the Cricut or I'm going to dig into some of my raw chipboard. I haven't decided which. I thought this would be a good layout to put some trim on. I haven't used trim in quite some time, and that's unusual for me because I normally put ribbon on just about every layout that I do, and of course I still use it on cards a lot. So I went through my various trims, since I haven't used any for a while in scrapbooking, and I found just tons of things. Once I started going through them, all kinds of different ones, and I don't know which ones I'm going to use. I like this texture, but it's awfully heavy, so I think it's probably too much. But I did have some neutrals that were not as heavily textured, like just, you know, a simple little scallop there. I do think it's a ribbon. I think I'm going to need something besides this, something that has some texture to it to go with all these layers. So that's kind of my plan, and I need to get my lettering together and start working on cutting up these papers into the flag and arrow shapes. Okay, so for my title, it's going to say inside out and backwards, and I have backwards. And I thought about doing it with the letters turned around the other way if I printed them on the Cricut or something, but that really can't tell what that says. So I think I'm going to stick with it going like this. The word out and I got out of my chipboard letters, so I want to paint the word out. I may paint this in a brown or something, but I think I'm going to do out in one of the gold colors. In the paper there's some real greenish kind of gold, and I have this antique gold paint, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of white to it, and I've got the metallic white out here. I don't know if that will give it a shiny kind of look or not. Probably not, because I'm probably not going to add that much to it, but that's what I'm going to paint those letters with. The first thing I need to do with them, though, is I'm going to need to file them down. So let me go ahead and move this out of the way and do that part. So let's just get these over here. This is some older raw chipboard that I had from Stampin' Up. Of letters. Use my scissors to kind of work out the little parts there that are hard to reach any other way.
So I've mixed some of that gold paint with just a little bit of the white metallic. It doesn't end up making it glossy, but it did lighten the color a little bit. I'm using a sponge, just dabbing it on, and it's okay to me that I don't cover every bit of the chipboard. I want a little bit of the background showing through because I want a very casual look to this. Matching it up to the paper. It could be a tad greener to go with the paper, but I think it's going to work without having to, you know, spend too much time experimenting to make the perfect match in colors. So just dabbing that on, and I also don't have to worry about painting the outside edges like I normally do. The ampersand, I decided to do that with some vintage photo distress ink. So I wanted it a brown color. That'll be the fastest way to do that. Just going around the outside edges, I just want it to stand out a little bit on the paper. You'll see that in a moment. I moved over to the magnetic mat so I can line everything up, and seeing how far over my letters, how much room my letters need, and it looked like they needed about 1 3/4 inch space there for a border and the letters. And I'm putting the ampersand in and kind of working from the middle out so I can put backwards along the top. And then I'll come down and put the other letters on. These foam letters stick without any extra adhesive, which is really nice. And the chipboard letters I put on with Tombow adhesive. Give you a close-up view of those yellow painted ones. You can see some of the background through them. I think that works out fine. And now we've moved on to the arrows, which I've cut quite a few of these on the Cricut with the Accent Essentials cartridge. Has an arrow shape. Laying them out just to get an idea of how they look. Well, first of all, I'm going to look at my trim here. I'd be laying the trim over the top of them, and I wasn't sure I liked them going all sorts of directions, so I'm putting them just up and down. What concerns me is that my titling is so bold. Perhaps I shouldn't have done out in gold, but I've got the green and the gold and the reddish tone there, and the arrows cut out of just the designer paper seem to be getting a little lost. So I thought I might need to add some accent to them with some matching cardstock. The arrow design from the Accent Essentials has a frame that goes with it. So if I cut the frame out of the cardstock, let's see how that looks. Laying some of those out, and that's really helping to bring the colors all together so that the arrows are more defined down at the bottom. I keep playing with that trim, trying to decide how to do it. And I start moving the arrows around, and with the frames on them, turning them in different directions starts to look a lot better. However, if I do them down across the bottom and up along the side, that's going to be a lot of arrows. So I'm moving them over to the corner to see if that's going to work. That one's going to need a frame around it. And I like them a lot there just on the corner. And maybe not go all the way up the sides. And of course, I still want to do the paper clip. I have these little cards that are part of the designer paper, and I might cut some of those out and put those as part of the design as well. Now, I have a couple of papers here that I haven't cut yet. I was thinking of just doing them as little flags, but I think I want to stick with the arrow shapes. And what pops out of the middle of those frames are some solid colors, so I have those I could mix in as well, and that might continue to anchor it. So that's another option as I move through the design. I'm still playing with trim, looking at whether I want it on top or underneath the arrows. And I've still got to do that paper clip. It's become pretty obvious I'm going to have to glue these frames on. I like the frames, and there's too much to try to move things around without them in place. So I'm just going ahead and putting the frames on, and I'm being kind of arbitrary here. It's whatever size fits whatever paper. I'm not trying to match the paper to the frame because it's all going to look blue and green and yellow when it's done. Or yellow and blue and pink. Now, whenever I arrange things, I put all the colors together to start with. So I have all the yellows together, all the pinks together, and all the greens together. This is the way I decorate a Christmas tree. I put all the balls of one color together in one part of my living room and all of them in another part, and then I start placing them. So I put all the green ones on, and then I fit the yellow ones in, and this way they're evenly spaced. And I know this is probably too obsessive, but it's just the way that I do things, is I get all of one color and put that one color on and then do the next color, and that way it's evenly arranged, evenly spaced, and I think it'll look better to the eye. And for something like this, it doesn't take very long, not like moving Christmas tree ornaments around in my living room. And I've got my arrows going in lots of different directions. I still have my solids, but I'm not sure I need them at this point because I have so many other things there. That paperclip arrow needs to go somewhere. It could go at the top. I need something at the top. And back to my trim. Do I want it to go underneath or along the bottom? Okay. I'm speeding this up a little bit as I'm still trying to decide exactly how I want things arranged. Up here at the top, again, I'm playing with the trims some and looking at some different ones. I like the texture a little bit more. I decided to put the arrow on one of those little cards. And then I'm probably going to need another little card to balance things out. This heavier trim really looks great with the photos. So I'd like to do something with it, and perhaps I should just not have it on top of the arrows at all. It should just be over there on the end. But then I need another piece to balance. I'm going to have the journaling up above it. And up here in the upper corner, that's where I place the solid color arrows. And that brings some of that color up there as well and repeats the arrow shape, most importantly, on the top. I have one other paper clip, and that's the heart that came with the same collection. So if I use another one of those cards with the heart, then I'll have two cards. And do a little bit of trimming up on these arrows and gluing, and we'll be getting this finalized. All right, with the cards, I'm just writing the location, Hilton Head Island, and I'll put the date on the other card. These markers are zig markers. They're very old, but they've been laying horizontal and they've lasted forever. These paper clips are really neat because they have 3 layers to them. You can attach them kind of the way you would normally attach them, and you get almost an entire clip on one side. You get kind of half of a clip on another. There's even a little part on the back that if you just clip that on, you'll be able to see on the front side. You can see the entire paper clip there. So that's another way of doing them. So they have a lot of options and a lot of metal there within each paper clip. I decided to do the almost complete paper clip, and I will attach it with dimensional adhesive. Now the only thing left is to figure out where to put the rest of that trim, because I need to put it somewhere else on the layout. I decided not to put it up on the top. It looks pretty good coming down the side there, but I'm not sure I want it beside of the title, so I'm looking at doing it down here, but I don't know whether I want that card over the top of it or the card should be over the top of one of the arrows. It would be easiest to do it horizontally, but that just sort of messes up the design flow, I thought. It didn't look right because everything on the side was going down the side, so it needs to go up and down as well, I thought. Okay, and I'm going to glue that, hot glue that on. I hot glued all the arrows on.
So here's our completed page. Let's take a look at the sketch. I varied from the sketch some, but not as much as I kind of thought I was as I was going along. The trim didn't end up over the top. It ended up just stopping here, and I didn't do the stitching up here since I put arrows there. But and these arrows didn't go quite as far up, but close to it. I added these 2 little cards cut from the papers, and doing this extra cardstock frame around these arrows really helped to bring all this together, because these colors being so bold and so different from the colors in the photo, I felt like I needed something to anchor those colors over here on this side of the page. So let's take a look at the page a little bit closer up. Craft background, and I used a little bit darker shade of craft for the journaling and just glued that on. Then I have the trim here, the letters that I sponged some color onto, and that's my page. So thanks for joining me today, and be sure and check out my blog for the sketch and more information.